This is stuff you like, and while I don't think the writing in Brave New World is particularly compelling, I am really interested by this idea of making undesirable choices invisible, as is the question of how immoral you're willing to be in pursuit of happiness. The writing in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World feels quite utilitarian to me, and the characters don't always ring true, and as always in a dystopia, I don't really like the characters. But man, those themes, they are the shiz. 1984 is hella depressing and obviously bad, but Brave New World makes everyone happy by electroshocking children, artificially stunting their growth in utero so they're stupider than they would otherwise be. So yeah, but everyone's having orgies and stuff, I guess, so yay? 1984 is from the 40s. Brave New World is even earlier than that, it's from the 30s. Things were looking up when Aldous Huxley wrote his book. The Model T had just come out and everything was going to be sunshine and roses and beautiful blue skies from now on. Right, said Huxley, there's absolutely no way this could go wrong. Brave New World is a more insidious dystopia than 1984, but it still hits pretty darn hard because it takes aim at the things which are most intrinsic to most people's idea of what constitutes happiness. Loving parents, loving relationships in general, intimate relationships, feeling particularly strongly about anything. In Brave New World, we learn that a bit of stoicism can go a long way, that to wonder in both senses of the term is to be human, that happiness is a cruel master, and that you can distract people indefinitely from the search for meaning as long as you have the right tools. Oh, and that silence is golden. But everything in the Brave New World is noise. Pleasurable, sure, but ultimately meaningless. Hug me till you drug me, honey, because casual sex and drug-induced hallucinations are all you can hope for in this world. Or ever. The plot of Brave New World goeth thusly. Bernard is a dissatisfied man in a world where the only possible goal is to be happy. Where hallucinogens are freely available, where sex hormone chewing gum is a thing, and where religious participation is limited to quasi-religious ceremonies involving orgies. He and Lenina, the current girl he's sleeping with because girlfriend would imply attachment and no, go to a savage reservation. A place where people don't subscribe to the values of the Brave New World, and meet a lady who has been there for half her life but was born in the Brave New World and just got stuck while on vacation. Whoops. This lady has a son who is excited to go and see the Brave New World, and she's really, really ready to get back to those drugs which don't have any side effects, except that they kill you by 60, but no side effects at the time. Predictably, she falls into a soma-laden stupor and dies pretty quickly because of this. John is consumed with grief, goes mad while quoting Shakespeare, and eventually hangs himself after participating in an orgy with some people who have come to his place of solitude to gawp at him. The end. And Bernard gets sent to an island of scientists, which he thinks is a punishment, but is actually going to be the best thing for him, probably. What's so bad about the Brave New World, though? Crime and war are non-existent, everyone's happy, all the time, you get 60-ish years of pretty good life and then your body just kind of gives out, and nobody really minds. Oh, and complete bliss is just a tablet away. Well, to start with, the mechanisms by which this world is achieved are pretty horrific, as I mentioned before. Alcohol to stunt fetal growth to make people stupider than they'd otherwise be, electroshocking children so they hate nature and books, hypnotizing babies in utero so that they want to consume and discard rather than ever hold on to things or mend them. All babies are created in test tubes, and so parents are not really a thing. Father is a joke, but mother is like a smutty obscenity. There are no permanent or stable relationships, or even the attempt at them. In the Brave New World, everyone is happy, but no one is free. And in particular, there is no science or exploration of scientific ideas. Does this sound familiar? Because science might lead people to ideas which might make them unhappy. And happiness, after all, is the highest possible goal. There are the feelies, and there is sex with whoever, whenever, because everyone belongs to everyone else. There are, in short, a carefully prescribed set of choices, and all other choices are rendered invisible. It has often been said that the internet represents Aldous Huxley's worst fears come to life. And he's not the only person to have heralded the brave new technological world as a potential problem. I mean, he was doing it with the Model T, but Neil Postman's 1993 book Technopoly says, "Technopoly eliminates alternatives to itself in precisely the way Aldous Huxley outlined in Brave New World. It does not make them illegal, it does not make them immoral, it does not even make them unpopular. It makes them invisible, and therefore irrelevant. If you expect your entertainment to come out of a computer screen, or the feelies, or a scent organ, or a drug, the alternatives don't occur to you. In the society of Brave New World, it takes John, who has experienced Shakespeare and real meaning, to be able to articulate that maybe there is more to life than this. Maybe life should have meaning. Maybe consciousness should have purpose. Bernard feels this, but he can't articulate it because the alternatives are invisible to him. The internet is really, really amazing, and on the internet you can access an awful lot of the information the world has to offer. But how much time do we spend doing that versus refreshing our Facebook feed to see if anyone's liked our photo yet. Dystopias always set out to hide the alternatives to their way of life. But we're pretty good at doing that to ourselves too. It's not even to say that there's nothing good about the Brave New World. I mean, no war or crime is pretty awesome, but the methods used to achieve it are so barbaric that one wonders, how high a price are you willing to pay? How many electroshocked or hypnotized or deliberately stunted babies is an acceptable trade-off for permanent, carefully circumscribed societal bliss? How little use can we make of our clever human brains before it really does just become a senseless waste of potential? John, the savage, looking on in horror, chooses grief and starvation and death as opposed to happiness. But what he really wants to choose is not starvation or disease or suffering in itself instead of pleasure. What he wants to choose is meaning. What he wants to choose is striving. What he wants to choose is consciousness itself. John claims the right to bad feelings, the right to personal suffering, the right to be unhappy because something sad has happened. Brave New World's vision of happiness is the inability to be unhappy. It's not the same thing. They present a world where the ideal is that you are happy but consistently a little bit dissatisfied even when you have plenty. That's why you keep needing to buy new things. It doesn't work for John, obviously. Brave New World is a tragedy and he dies at the end. But what does make us happy? Really, truly, deeply happy? John almost manages to figure it out, but since his only points of reference are Jesus and Pukong or wild drug-fueled orgies, he kind of goes overboard on the self-flagellation. He can't seem to conceive of a middle ground. Suffering for suffering's sake may well be good for the soul, but surely it is more noble to suffer for some noble purpose, to suffer for a reason, to suffer for a goal or a cause. But then everyone is already happy, or at least not unhappy, in the Brave New World, so what need for heroes? Maybe he'd just be suffering fruitlessly regardless. In a world where everyone is manifestly not happy and peaceful all the time, it's much easier to have a purpose, I guess. But all things strive. And for some reason, I can't bring myself to quite believe that we'd all be happier if we just quit striving. I don't know, though. What do you reckon? Leave a comment and let me know. And if you like this episode, subscribe and hit the bell for more stuff like it. See you next time.
Cute kitty.